Hello there. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we want to look at a question on the integrated system, whereby we are going to look at a question from the question paper of November 2024. So our question is question 7 on that question paper. That is the last question on the question paper. So our question reads, the following information was obtained from the books of laundry CC. So we are given a table of opening balances. So basically, we are saying 1 October 2023, and they are going to be our opening balances. And then 31 October 2023, they are going to be our closing balances. So we can just take note of that. Then we believe that trades the year the following transactions during October 2023. So we have got a list of transactions that took place during the period, that is the month of October. Then we are given additional information which we also need to go through. And then on the third part, we have got first part, raw material control account, second part, production control account, and then we have manufacturing overheads control account, and lastly, we've got finished goods control account. So these are the accounts that we need to open. So going to our other section, we'll see that these are the spaces that we need to fill in as we answer the question. So going back to our question, we'll see that we are going to start with our opening balances, and then we input those opening balances in each and every account. So we are going to start with the raw materials on hand, which is 48,000. So this is going to be an opening balance in the raw material control account. So we can just look for a raw material control account. So this is our raw material control account. Well, that is where we're going to have our opening balance, and it will be on the debit side, which is our balance BT. So we have our balance. Then we have an amount of 48,000. Then we pick the next opening balance that we have, which is work in process 32,000, which is going to be the opening balance of the production control account. So we can just look for production control, as we are having our production control, and then I have our balance BT as 32,000, and it will be on the debit side again. So we move on to the next opening balance is on finished goods with 99,000. So this is should be an opening balance of the finished goods account, finished goods control, finished goods control. So according to our requirement of the question, we can just look for that finished goods control, which is the last account that we have. So it's also an opening balance on the debit side. And we have an amount of 99,000. And then from there, we can proceed with other transactions during October 2023. But we have to take note that the closing balances, we are going to input them after we have finished all the transactions that we have there. Then we can and then put our closing balances. And we see that we put a question mark on working process. We put a question mark on working process, indicating that we have to find the closing balance as a balancing figure. So it's as simple as that. Then you go to the transactions. So we see that the first item is that the raw materials issued to production. Raw materials issued to production, we've got 290,000 for direct material. So basically, you know that when it's being issued to production, it means they are coming from the raw material control. So basically, the double entry involved is that we are crediting the raw material control, and then we are debiting and the production control. So that's that entry that we have, and both of them we have got their accounts in the question. So we can start by crediting the raw material control with 290,000. So we are going to the credit side, and we are saying it's supposed to go to the production control. Then we move on to the next part whereby we have indirect material. Indirect material. So the indirect material amount is the one that is supposed to be debited to but the indirect control amount is one that is supposed to be debited to the manufacturing overheads control, and it's a question mark. So the double entry of this one again is we credit again production control, and then we debit manufacturing overheads. So the double entry of indirect material, we are supposed to credit production control, and then we debit the manufacturing overheads control. You can take note of that. So we are not given it. It's a question mark, which means we are going to find it as a balancing figure. So we are just going to write manufacturing overheads on the credit side of the raw material control. So it's manufacturing overheads. Then we are going to input it as we find it as a balancing figure. Then we proceed with the next transaction. Uh, And then we can as well try to complete in terms of indirect material. Remember, we said we are crediting raw materials control and then we debit manufacturing overheads, which means it's supposed to be on the debit side of the manufacturing overheads again. So we go and enter it there. So manufacturing overheads is here. So it means on the debit side again, we got a figure that is coming from our production control, which we haven't found. And we leave it blank again. I will fill in when we find the figure. Cash 385. So they are purchased for cash. So whenever we make purchase on cash, remember we are supposed to have bank account is one of the accounts. So double entry involved, we are debiting raw material control and we are receiving raw materials, and then we credit the bank. But the bank is not asked in the question. So if you go to the requirements of the question, you see that there is no bank account. So the entry in the bank account is not going to be shown in the question in the answer section. So we go to the debit side and put 385,000 of raw material control. So we go to say bank, and we have 385. Then we move on to the next one, which is indirect material purchased on credit. So when it's purchased on credit, it means it's involving the creditors control. So it means what is going to be credited, it is credited is creditors control, and then we debit the raw materials control with 150,000, debit the raw materials control 150,000, and then we credit creditors control. But creditors control, we do not have it in the question, so we are not going to make the entry of crediting at the creditors control. So it's 150,000 on the debit side of the raw materials control. So we can be we say creditors control. And then the figure that means 150,000. So that's what we have on that part. And then we move on to the next part whereby you now see wages paid. We got direct labor, 4,000 hours worked. Direct labor, 4,000 hours worked with 420,000. So this 420,000 is supposed to be debited to the production control. We're supposed to debit the production control with 420,000, and then we credit the labor control. But if you look in the question, we do not have the labor control. So the entry in the labor control is not going to be shown in this question. So we are just going to debit the production control with 420,000. So we come there in where we say labor control. Then the corresponding entry for labor control is not going to be shown since the question is not asking at the labor control account. So we refer back after that, we have got indirect labor, 110,000. So indirect labor, 110,000, we're going to enter it. So remember, direct labor goes to production control, but indirect labor goes to manufacturing overheads control. So the double entry of 110,000 is uh, we debit a manufacturing overheads control, and then we credit labor control. So we just going to the debit side of the manufacturing overheads control. So come here, we have got manufacturing overheads control. So we're going to the debit side, whereby we are saying supposed to go to the labor control. With an amount of 110,000. And move on to the next one. We now have the next one. We are supposed to have. We put wages paid for direct labor 4,000 hours worked, which is 420,000. Wages paid 4,000 hours worked. We are going to debit the we are going to we did debited we did debit the production control, and then we also entered in terms of indirect labor. So we are now on depreciation. So depreciation, we put factory equipment, which is 120,000, which is also part of the manufacturing overhead. So we are supposed to debit manufacturing overheads, and then we credit depreciation. But depreciation is not asked in question, so we are just going to debit the manufacturing overheads. So we go to manufacturing overheads, and then we are saying depreciation 1,000. So that's what we have on that part. So the next item that we have is cost of finished goods sold during October 2023. And the double entry vote, it's a question mark, which means we are supposed to get it as a balancing figure. So the double entry vote is we are supposed to credit our finished goods control, and then we transfer it, we debit to cost of sales. But cost of sales, we do not have it in the question. So we are just going to credit finished goods control. So we go to finished goods control. Suppose it's supposed to come here, so we are just going to enter it as our cost of sales. Cost of sales, and then we are going to fill in as a balancing figure. So with that now, see that we have got entered until the end. But if you go to the entry that we have of 290,000, we're supposed to credit raw materials control 290,000, and then we debit production control. So we check if we debited production control. It's not appearing on the debit side, so we're supposed to debit here. Production control is coming from material control, which is 290,000. So it means when you have finished entering all the entries in the list of balances, you need to verify if you have entered all the entries. Maybe one of the instances you did not complete the double entry, or you've entered wrong figures. So you can just cross check before you move on to additional information. Then I'm going to our additional information now. It reads merchandise to the value of 870,000 was completed and transferred to the finished goods account. It was transferred to the finished goods account. So we can take note of that. So basically, if it was transferred to the finished goods account, it means the finished goods account is going to be debited with 870,000. So we credit production control, we debit finished goods. So we go to production control to finished goods. And the amount is 870. And then we go to finished goods account to the debit side. And we are saying production control. And then the amount that we have is 870,000. So this is what we have in this case. So I will move on to see the next information that we have, which is saying manufacturing overheads are recovered at 100 rands per direct labor hour. So let's calculate the value, 100 per direct labor hour, and we are going to 4,000 direct labor hours. So basically we are going to say 4,000 multiplied by 100 rands. So we are going to get it as 400,000. So what the double entry involved with this 400,000, we are supposed to debit and credit. So the one that is supposed to be debited is a production control. Production control, and one that is supposed to be credited is the manufacturing overhead control. Manufacturing overheads control. So we debit a production control, we credit manufacturing overheads control. So both of the accounts we have them in the question, they are there. So we come here, production control, we go to the debit side, and then we have our 400,000, which is supposed to go to manufacturing overheads. To manufacturing overheads control, we go to the credit side. We write production control. It's 400,000. Right, so with this, we know that we've entered all the accounts that are given in the question, and we are left now with our closing balances. So we can we have our closing balances that we need to also enter, or we can start with the first one, raw materials on the end. We are given it as 179,000. So we go to raw materials control and put our balance CD as 179,000. And it will be balance CD on the credit side. So balance CD is 179,000. And we go to the next one, which is now work in process is a question mark, which should be a balance CD in the production control. So we come only the production control. And we have a balance CD here. On the credit side. And our balance CD, we are going to get it as a balance figure. So you can just leave it and see if we still have any closed balance. We still have finished goods 149,000 as a closed balance. So we go to finished goods, which is now balance CD on the credit side. where we have 149,000. So basically, that's what we have on our closing balances. Then from there, we can now be able to balance account. We can start with the first one, with raw materials control. So it means we can put our double lines. We can put our double lines whereby we say, so we can add the total of the debit and credit, but you don't see that the total of the debit side is a greater total with a total of 583,000. And we know that it also has to come to the credit side. Then if you now say 583,000 minus 179,000 minus 290,000, you get your balancing figure of manufacturing overhead, which is going to be 114,000. So this is the balancing figure. Then we go to the next account that we have is the production control. So in production control, our balancing figure is going to be our balancing D. That's the one that we are not given as a we are given it as a balancing figure. So you're supposed to find it as a balancing figure. So we can start by putting our double lines. Whereby now we are saying if you add the total of debit and credit, you are going to see that the debit side is one with the greater total of 1,142,000. So we have 1,142,000, and it's also supposed to come on the credit side. And we say 1,142,000 minus 870,000 to get a balancing figure of 272,000. So this is also supposed to come as a balance BD on the opposite side below the double line. And the same amount, 272,000. So that's what we have on that part. If you go back to our raw materials control, we've got balance CD on the credit. So it means also have balance BD opposite side below the double lines. So we've got also. So that's what we have. We move on to the manufacturing overheads. So on manufacturing overheads, we are going to see that we have got, we first of all have to check the figure. We first of all you have to enter the figure for production control. Remember, there's a figure that was supposed to be debited production control, and then we credit material control, which is we check here. We have got a figure of let's just verify that one, which is 140,000. So 140,000, remember, is supposed to go to the manufacturing overheads. But we have 290,000, which are supposed to be debited to a production control. 290,000, we can just cross-check if we did enter that one, 290,000, we entered it here. So it means we have got The one for manufacturing overheads, which is coming from material control, is 140,000. So we can just transfer this 140,000, which was supposed to be credited raw materials control, and then we debit manufacturing overhead. So if you refer back, you'd see that this is the figure that we are talking about, indirect material 7, which is given as a question mark. Indirect material question mark is the one, and that yes, and those entries of crediting raw materials control with 140,000, and then debiting manufacturing overheads, which is 100 and 140. So we can enter that one is 140. So from there, we can see that we have entered that one that we have there. So in the manufacturing overhead control, we are not going to have balance CD and BD. So we can just indicate that in the manufacturing overheads control, there is no balance. Take note of that. So any balancing figure that we have in the manufacturing overheads control is supposed to be transferred to the cost of sales. Take note of that one. So we can just see that if we add the total of the debit and credit, you're going to get 400,000 is greater. So our balancing figure is going to come on the debit side as cost of sales. So we are going to have our cost of sales, which we can now have our double lines. So 400,000 is the greater, which is supposed to come in between double lines. So you say 400,000, 400,000 minus all what we have on the credit side, we get a balancing figure of 36,000, of which we do not have cost of sales in the question, so we can just leave it. Then we go to the next one, finished goods control. So finished goods control, we see that the balancing figure that we have is supposed to go to cost of sales. So we can quickly put our double lines. So we have the debit side, which is going to be the greater total. We get a total of 969,000. Then we say minus 149,000. And then we get 820,000 as the balancing figure transferred to the cost of sales. So this becomes the last count that we have, which is 7.4 for the finished goods control. And our question ends 19 months. So basically, this is what we have, guys, according to the integrated system from the question paper of November 2024. So hopefully the video was helpful. And please, let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's share the link to our colleagues who are doing cost management accounting at 5. Let's meet again in the next video. As for this video, I'm signing out.